of the show, Christine Amour-Levar, who scaled 2 unnamed mountains in Antarctica recently and got to name them.
That's crazy.
Because they were unnamed until she went along.
Unbelievable, man.
I know, and she's going to tell us about her adventures, and her journey is going to be amazing, and that's next on Kiss. You're in Kiss with Maddie, Jason, and Arnold in the morning, brought to you by Esso. And often, right, you guys call me a firecracker, but you don't know what a firecracker is until you've met this woman. And she is Christine Amour-Levar, who has more energy than any person I know.
Yes.
Welcome back on the show.
Oh gosh, what a compliment.
Busy.
It's true.
That's a big compliment coming from you, Maddie.
Yeah, so let me just introduce her. She's the co-founder of Women on a Mission. I think, previously we've always interviewed her and talked to her about the journeys she's made for Women on a Mission. Mm-hmm. So you've been to Everest Base Camp. I think that was the first chat that we ever did with you.
The first one.
And then you went to Siberia, Jordan, Iran, and recently Ethiopia.
Unbelievable.
And now you've set out this new non-profit organization, and you are the founder, and it's called Her Planet Earth, right?
That's right.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, Women on a Mission is still going very strong. We're planning our 9th expedition this May. But I wanted to also spend some time and energy on focusing on something that I'm very passionate about too, is the environment and supporting women who are affected by climate change.
Okay.
While Women on a Mission is focused more on supporting abused women. So there are 2 very important issues for me, and I thought it was best to address them, with my full attention, and basically set up these 2 separate ones, and with different partners, actually. That way I hope to raise more awareness and funds for both issues that are very close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you recently also came back from the Antarctica.
That's right.
One place I've always wanted to go, and I hope I do it in my lifetime. But why did you choose Antarctica? Why not the Arctic, or some other place in Canada, for example?
Yeah.
So the Arctic, I was very lucky to go with Women on a Mission. We went to Siberia. So that was my experience with the Arctic a couple of years ago. So I'd always wanted to go to Antarctica, and that was a big dream for me. And Antarctica in many ways is quite different from the, the North Pole or the Arctic. It's one of the biggest continents. It's twice the size of Australia, and it's a big symbol of, environmental sustainability because it's fighting for its own struggle as well. And it's a beautiful continent where you can climb mountains, and as you know, I love climbing. So you can't really do that in the Arctic. You can do that in Antarctica.
True. Yes.
Do people know that the Arctic is just frozen water, but then Antarctica is an actual continent?
That's right.
It's a huge difference, right?
Yes, a lot of people don't know that, and actually people think that there are polar bears in Antarctica, but they only exist in the North Pole.
Yeah, that's right.
So you were safe from polar bears.
Exactly. So that's how I negotiated with my husband. I said, at least I won't be eaten by a polar bear.
And you had the penguins.
So the penguins are there, absolutely, and they're very friendly and they're harmless. So no danger over there.
It must be so wonderful to see them. I remember the last time when you talked to us about Siberia. You talked about how you had to wear all these because there were so many layers that you couldn't actually take them off to do your business or pee or anything. Do you remember?
Yes.
And then you actually, I don't know how you did it.
It was difficult, and we had reindeers in Siberia, but in Antarctica, so definitely many layers. It was very, very cold, and the interesting thing is when we were camping, because we were actually camping near the mountains because we were climbing them. Our guides would dig bathrooms for us. So they would create bathrooms because it's very easy to dig in the snow, and they would create a step and a bathroom and a shelf to put your gloves, and so it was almost like a proper bathroom that we had.
But you still have to take out all the many layers.
You have to take up the layers, and actually in Antarctica, one thing that you have to do is you have to take all your waste back with you.
Okay.
Yes. So that was an experience.
To protect the environment,
To protect the environment. It doesn't decompose because it freezes. So the rule of, and all the countries that are involved in the Antarctic Treaty, there are 12 countries that govern Antarctica, are committed to making sure it stays clean and unstained from all sorts of bacteria. So you have to take the waste out of Antarctica. So we did that. So that was
Maddie,
quite
everything has to be brought out.
I really need to ask, what does frozen waste look like? Or feel like?
Well, you try not to look at it too long.
Trust Maddie to elevate the conversation.
I have
Talking about human rights, the environment, we find out about taking the out of Antarctica.
No, but I understand because it's such a big part of, humans.
Yeah,
So
it is a huge part. Yeah, okay. You're not going to go into it. Okay, now moving on.
Allow me to raise the tone of the conversation ever so slightly. You also got the chance to name a couple of these mountains in Antarctica. Can you tell us what you named these mountains? What was your experience like climbing them and why you chose these names?
It was just amazing. So Antarctica, there are so many mountains that haven't been climbed yet. It's one of those continents that was discovered at the very end. Only 1820 it was discovered. So
Amazing.
there's a big part of Antarctica that hasn't been discovered and climbed. So there was a big chance for us to really seek out those mountains.
That's even more dangerous, right? Because nobody has climbed them, so they don't know the terrain.
Yes, so there's a little bit of truth in that. There are a lot of crevasses everywhere, and when you're climbing mountains that nobody has climbed, there are no set routes. So you have to look at the mountain and decide where to approach it from. You don't know exactly where the ice bits are, or the more difficult technical parts. So we had very good guides with us. We had the women, all women guides from Alaska, and Japan. Actually,
how many women in total?
So we were 6 altogether. All women, and it was a wonderful experience. And then, honestly, climbing these unnamed, unclimbed mountains was one of the most empowering experiences of my life. Nobody had ever been there, and you do have the right to name them. So we're in the process of putting that into formal, official naming.
So to show up on maps and stuff like that.
What did you
So the
put
two
up?
names that we chose are very meaningful to us. One is ancient Greek. It's called Mount Gaia. Gaia is ancient Greek for the goddess Earth,
Right.
and it represents her planet Earth quite well, I thought. And one of my other teammates chose a very good name, which is Mount Malala. And Mount Malala, she's the Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Yes.
And she represents, women empowerment and in the face of injustice, she's a very, very famous young lady.
I'm quite amazed, right? You put 6 women together to choose names.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't fight. I'd be like, get out of my way. I'm naming this mountain after my daughter.
Mount Maddie.
Mount Maddie, yeah,
an
not after
interesting
your
one.
daughter.
So it's funny you said that because, Maddie, we actually wanted to summit 4 unclimbed peaks, but because of the weather and, just to stay safe, we were only able to summit 2 unclimbed peaks, which is still something special. So I think I was very lucky with Mount Gaia because I said, I'll take the first one. And then my other teammates said, I'll name the second one. And the 2 other ones actually had some other names, but maybe they'll have to go back and try again.
Go climb it again.
But it's a group decision,
So
absolutely.
my plan is when I'm retired, I'm going to scale one quietly by myself and name it Mount Maddie.
There you
Because then
go.
nobody will fight with me about naming
wait.
rights.
How high are these mountains?
So about 2,200 meters.
Wow. Okay. Good luck, man.
No, I think Maddie should find a nice hill.
Yeah. Try
Hill.
Try Bukit Timah Hill first.
All the hills have been named, though. Unfortunately. So how did you put together the women?
Yes, so we had a very interesting team. 3 of us are based in Singapore, all mixed nationalities. One was based in Africa. She's a geologist, so she was in heaven looking at all the rocks, because there are fossils in Antarctica too, and dinosaurs and all sorts of animals used to live there. And we had the teammates from North America, so a real mix of personalities and backgrounds and careers. And so it was a very interesting group. Not so big this time because with Women in a Mission we have sometimes teams of up to 12.
What a nightmare.
Which is another difficult thing to manage.
Did you all see signs of climate change? Wearing signs there when you were there?
Yes, that's a very good question. So definitely the part of the Antarctic is melting, and so that's a reality. The ozone hole above the Antarctic is growing, and so we were constantly very aware of the strength of the sun. When we were there, it was 24 hours of sunlight because it's the summertime.
Yes,
so that was an interesting experience too. So if you wanted to wake up to go to the bathroom at 3 a.m., it was bright sun, basically.
Oh my gosh, pigmentation!
Exactly. So you're very aware of just trying to
me,
protect
right?
your
You
skin.
can go to the north then and get 24 hours of darkness if you want.
Yeah, which is worse, right?
So that was actually quite nice, but not so easy to sleep, So in the quality of the sleep, you're sleeping with obviously eye shades.
Okay.
And your days must feel so long.
They're endless, basically. They're endless, yeah.
I wonder how that feels, endless days. Because here in Singapore, we complain that we don't have enough time in a day.
Yes.
But when you have endless days...
Yeah, it's a strange feeling, to be honest. And when we came back from Antarctica, we had to adjust to having night again, and that was really new and different. So you adjust. Human beings adjust very fast, more than you think. But it's a strange experience. When we had done the opposite trip with Women on a Mission in Siberia, where we only had like 3-4 hours of daylight, that was also very strange because we would lose track of the morning and night. So this was totally different, and the sky was incredibly beautiful and blue. So in general, it's a great feeling because you get lots of light. And light makes you happier generally.
Yes.
We got to come back to this, and I want you to Facebook Live from here on, because you got to look at this woman. I mean, she's a mother of 4.
Yeah.
Right? She is so well preserved. I
Yeah.
mean,
Thank you, Maggie.
no, honestly, right, Christine,
So
you
kind.
haven't changed. I mean, from the moment that we met you, we're like, what?
Yeah.
Mom of 4, the kind of energy you have, like,
Yeah.
look at her.
Yeah.
and enough said, and then we can talk about her achievements.
Yeah.
But look at her, okay?
You're too kind, Maggie.
No,
Yeah,
but
thank you.
I mean, I'm still fascinated.
It's
I'm in
true
awe.
love. It's true love. Christine.
Christine Amour-Levar, founder of Her Planet Earth, who just returned from Antarctica, scaled 2 unknown mountains and already unnamed mountains and named them. We're going to come back with more from her.
Kiss 92's Maddie, Jason, and Arnold in the morning.
8:51, it's Kiss 92 with Maddie, Jason, and Arnold in the morning, joined by a friend of the show, and she's been coming on the show every year since the very beginning.
I don't think she's a friend of the show. I think she's an infatuation of the show. Maddie's just embarrassing her. She's just sitting here.
Come on,
You're the
Christine.
best. You're so beautiful. Your husband's gorgeous. I love you.
You're Facebook Live, right? I mean, look at Christine. Christine is the founder of Her Planet Earth, co-founder of Women on a Mission. She is a mother of 4 big kids,
Yeah.
big kids, and also they're grown up.
Maddie wants to be you, baby.
Yeah.
She's also adventurer, philanthropist. She's done so much with her life, and she takes really good care of herself. Love.
But you're a DJ, Maddie.
Thank you.
But I'm saying that more women should aspire to look after themselves.
Yeah.
No, I make an effort. I work hard at it. I mean, I don't wake up like this, by the way.
But Christina, do you ever relax? Because Maddie, her thing, right? She's on the go, but then she compensates by sitting in front of the TV for 12 hours at a stretch.
Actually,
You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
anymore.
But it's funny you say that because when I do go on expedition more and more often, so it's pretty intense. I'm trekking the whole time, climbing. I'm losing weight, which is a nice thing sometimes. After Christmas. But there are many times where I'm just happy being at home. I'm working at the computer. I'm writing. I love to write. I love to read. So I'm a bit like that. So there are moments where it's more intense, and other moments.
But do you ever do nothing?
No.
No.
I don't ever do nothing, and sometimes I probably should,
Yeah.
that's one of the things I'm trying to work on because there's so many other things that I want to do on my list. I have, I want to write this article, I want to do this.
If you ever need tips on doing nothing, you can always ask me. I've got it down.
Speaking of women, because you have so many, you champion a lot of causes and you support a lot of women causes, right? And do you find that a lot of women that we meet, daily basis, it could be your friend or relative, they don't value themselves enough? For you keep busy, but I can see your family really appreciates you being there as well, and I have this saying that I keep telling the guys: treat them mean, keep them keen.
Yes, that's
don't take
Maddie's
it
saying.
literally, but because you're so sometimes doing your own thing, having a great life,
Yeah.
makes your husband wanna, hey, can I pen in some time with you,
Yeah,
honey?
yeah.
It's so cute
Right,
you say that
right.
because when I get home sometimes the 4 kids want to talk to me, my husband wants to talk to me, and he's trying to get a word in, and he tells the kids, take a number.
Yeah.
I'm talking to mommy now.
Yeah.
So it's true, I'm busy, and everybody's busy. I'm not the only one busy, obviously. But I love what I do, and I'm very lucky that I have a flexible schedule because I'm a consultant with one of the local companies in Singapore, and I have a very understanding boss who allows me to pursue my other passions through my non-profit work
Right.
as well. So that's very, very helpful. And you're right. I'm lucky that I have that flexibility. I have time to also exercise when I want to, and be there for the kids when I have to.
That's really important that you do your own thing, right? You have your own life. Then
Yeah.
everybody wants to spend time with you, and even your kids and your husband.
Yeah, and for me, what's
Right?
really important is to have an interesting life that
Yes.
that has meaning that it's interesting, follow your passions, and develop what you want to do in your life, but also hopefully do something to hopefully make the world a better place, even if it's a little effort. Every effort counts, and it can be anything within your family, within your community. If you want to champion certain causes that you care deeply about, and I think that gives meaning to life, and that hopefully makes you a happier person.
It doesn't have to be about saving the world.
Absolutely.
Just doing something
Every
within your
little bit
community.
counts,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
in Singapore, with Her Planet Earth, we champion a local charity called Zero Waste SG, and they're doing amazing work trying to find a way to stop the use of single-use plastic.
Yes.
Because we use a lot of plastic here, right?
Yeah, we do all over the world,
Yeah.
and it's it's polluting our oceans, and there are so many things that we should be caring more about and trying to do something to, even if it's a little effort, it really matters. I think, and if all of us do that, then it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Right.
A bit every day.
No, you're right. I think that's one of the questions that people always ask. What can I do? You know, what I mean, will I actually make a difference? There's no point, right? But it's not true, right?
There's always, if you try hard enough, you'll find something to
Right.
So you just returned from Antarctica. We were talking about that. Jason actually has a question.
No, I was wondering about Antarctica. When you go there, does it just seem like a wind-swept wasteland, like a frozen icebox, or can you see little pockets of activity and life and animals and plants?
So it's interesting you say that. So it definitely feels like you're on a different planet. First of all, it's a desert. It's the continent is 98% covered in ice. So it does feel, like you're a different place. It's it is a wasteland in some ways. But in the center of Antarctica, there are no animals. We didn't see any animals at all.
Right.
Is that normal?
It's too cold. It's I've heard that some birds do venture there, but the problem is there's no food for them, and they may die if they go too deep into the Antarctic.
Right.
So all the animals are on the coast. So they'll have penguins and
seals and stuff,
and those kinds of animals around there.
Access to the water.
Exactly.
So what's the problem that's facing the Antarctica right now? We know that in the Arctic there's not enough ice. The polar bears are suffering. Some of the wildlife are really suffering. Is the situation the same?
Something similar is happening in Antarctica, and it basically huge chunks of ice are basically breaking away, and fault lines are forming around the coast.
Yep.
And so that means that massive icebergs, the size of cities even, are falling off. And eventually, as those icebergs melt, they will affect the rise of the oceans.
Right.
And that can have catastrophic consequences.
I'm lucky I live on the 13th floor. I think I should be okay.
See, don't think about Christine said, don't just think about yourself, but what you do for the community.
How high is it going to rise? I'll be okay for a while.
It's scary for Singapore because we're very low.
All islands.
It will affect the world, not just countries around Antarctica.
And I believe that there are some events that are coming up.
That's right. So one of the things that we're very excited about is March is International Women's Day, Women's Month. And so we're planning a wonderful event, which I hope you all come to, on March 22 at the Park Royal. And it's in partnership with 100 Women Doing Good. So this is a non-profit set up by a friend of mine here, who's going to bring 100 women. We're going to invite 3 different charities, including Zero Waste SG, which I just mentioned, UN Women, because we're supporting one of their programs in Cambodia, helping underprivileged women affected by climate change. And we're hoping to invite Aware, who's a big game changer in Singapore in terms of women's rights. And basically inviting everyone to support. And we'll tell you about Antarctica. We're preparing a little film as well from our expedition, and hoping to share. The theme of this event is women in exploration, and we want to encourage more women to chase their dreams and to climb their own summits in life.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Make life an adventure,
Exactly.
right? Because it really is. So before you go, last but not least, right, you spoke about International Women's Day. So what we plan to do is to turn the tables around on the men this time and take things that women have done traditionally and get the guys to do it. So we want your suggestion on what could be real fun to get the guys to do so that they know what it's like to be in our shoes.
That's a good one. The first one that comes to mind is obviously them, doing all the stuff that we traditionally do. Even from the chores at home to taking the kids to the doctor, to the dentist, to the haircuts, and all the things.
I do all that already.
Yeah, I do that already too.
No, you don't. You lie.
I'm sure you don't do
We're married to lazy women. We have to do it right on.
Rubbish, liars, they're lying. So there was one year we made them wear high heels.
Yeah.
Jason liked it too much.
Yeah.
So we don't want them to enjoy
I
it.
felt very elegant.
Secretly enjoying
Yeah. So maybe we can get Kiss fans to chip in as well.
See what we
tell
can
us
do.
what we should get the guys.
I'm sure we can think of something.
Yeah. Do something that we women traditionally are known to do.
I wanted to dress in drag, but man, no, you cannot dress in drag.
Again.
He wasn't a mini skirt.
Yeah.
On top of that,
I got pretty good legs. I got nice
In the
legs.
picture, he looked a little bit scaringly sexy.
I wouldn't join him, and he didn't want to do it alone. So anyway, founder of a Planet Earth and friend of the show, Christine Amour-Levar.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being on here.
Thank you.
Jason
You guys are great.
All right, say bye to the fans on Kiss.
Bye-bye.
Bye.